Good morning, Ashley here on the 4th of February. Welcome to the Daily Stoic Recovery Podcast on being invincible. Who then is invincible? The one who cannot be upset by anything outside their reasoned choice. EPICTETUS DISCOURSES 18.21. Continuing with our month of February of controlling our passions and emotions. And in the book, The Daily Stoic, Ryan discusses how sports people, for example, going to press conferences or interviews with reporters and how they have to deal with probing and questions from reporters, and how some sports people choose to get riled up by the questioning and the comments, and they lose control of their mind, they lose control of their emotions, and they might say some things that they'll regret later, and they'll come from a place of fear, and rather than being in control and being in a place of peace. So that's one example that the book uses, and it comes with, for me, as the book says, it comes with practice and experience. Practice and experience of being in these situations. And okay, so for example, if you've been at a job interview and you were getting lots of probing questions by the interviewer and you felt unsettled by them, and they threw some questions that you didn't expect. They're asking about your dog, what you did in your last job that you're proud of, or why you got fired from a certain job when you didn't realise that they knew. And yeah, they might say something that you didn't expect for a spanner in the works, and you might get flustered, you might start to react, you might start to panic and start to sweat, and the nerves come through. But it's not really, for me, it's not, the interviewer is not really that interested in actually what the actual answers are. The reason why the interviewer is asking these probing questions to catch you off guard. Most of the time, it's to see how you react to difficult questions, to different circumstances, to things that you didn't expect would happen. And it's less really about what you say. It's all about your calm. Because if you're coming from a calm, peaceful place, leaving your ego to one side and being confident and reassured in your answering, if you can demonstrate that to the interviewer, then you're demonstrating that you're calm under pressure. And this is a key behaviour in life, to be in control. Because if you're in control of your emotions and desires, passions, impulses, as Epictetus says, you will be invincible to the outside environment. Any reporter, anyone can question you, and you'll be content, you'll be settled, and you can react within your reasoned choice, within your freedom of choice, rather than being bullied around and pushed around by circumstances and questioning, and as I've said in previous days, like a puppet on a string. In my experience, as I've mentioned before on these episodes, I went through a disciplinary process, and in the meetings they were firing questions at me, like probing questions. For example, one of the questions was, do you prefer speaking to girls rather than boys? What do you think about these statements? And a list of questions that I not in my memory at the moment, but I remember I prepared a statement before these meetings, and I stuck to, if I felt as though I didn't have an answer to the question, I stuck with the reply of no comment. And no comment, and I asked them to refer to my statement if I felt as though if I felt as though the question was irrelevant. And yeah, it's obvious to me in that situation that they were trying to round me. They were attempting to manipulate me and maybe catch me off guard, maybe expecting to say something that they can use, or whatever their agenda was is irrelevant. And yeah, there's many situations where I've let the emotions get the better of me. Going to football matches, you get worked up when you're going to football matches. The media hype it up, your friends and family, and build up to big matches like the Manchester derby, City versus United. It's a week-long build-up. The media, the press, it's in the papers, it's on the news, it's on the radio. People are talking about it at work. It's all a build-up, and all this tension builds up, and you can get mixed in with these emotions, and lose track of actually control. And it comes to the game, and you're jumping up, you're getting excited, and then if you win, and you're feeling miserable if you lose. And the next day you're going to work, and if that carries on, that misery continues when you have to be with people who supported the other team. So yeah, that you can go through that process, which I did, and many thousands of people do, millions of football fans and sports fans. But how about we are just indifferent to it? How about we just look at it as indifferent? It's not to say that we can't enjoy it, the football matches, but I think there's a misconception that we have to get all hyped up. We have to invest our emotions into these trivial events, and we become that event, we become that team. If your team's doing well, you embody it, you feel great. And when your teams were losing, fighting against relegation, you sort of feel low. That's how I felt. I've been there, but I'm aware of that. So yeah, in terms of interviews, job interviews, you may be going for job interviews at this period. Maybe you could practice self-control and indifference to whether you get the job or not, and understanding that, asking yourself, is it under your control whether they employ you or not, and asking yourself, what do you control? And if you practice this behaviour, then you might be able to go to these interviews and be calm, and go on to the next interview. Calm, go to the next interview, and wait. Be patient, practice patience, and yeah, you always have that freedom of choice to fall back on, which isn't reliant on anything, by the way. And yeah, that's my thoughts for today. And it's been a interesting month. A lot of things are coming up for me in my passions, and yeah, let's reflect. At the end of the day, let's reflect on who frustrated you today. You might, well, I'm sure you will get frustrated or stressed or angry or about something today. So my offer to you is, my challenge for you today is to make a mental note of that. Be completely in that situation, and at the end of the day, before you go to bed, write it down, how it went, who was you with, what you were doing, why you reacted, and leave it, and just reflect on it, and then let it be, and see what happens the next day, and maybe you could put on underneath how you would prefer to act that situation next time. And that's all about learning from experience. That's how we learn, by reflecting. Without reflections, is it possible to learn from our experience? Because what you will find, what I found, I wasn't learning from my experiences. I was just jumping from one thing to the next without really going deep and reflecting it and listening to it. So yeah, that's the challenge for today. Be aware of your heart, be aware of your mind, be aware of how controlled you are if someone says something to you, or you hear something, or you're in some kind of situation that it's making you unsettled. Yeah, be conscious of that. Be conscious of these reporters who fire questions at you because that's their job. It's a reporter's job to get these things, get those headlines, so they can write in their newspapers, make a headline of it. So that's their job, but it's our job to be calm. And yeah, if we're all calm, then I guess the reporters will have to practice another way. I've enjoyed speaking to you today, and thanks for watching. Thank you for listening. Be invincible. Stay in control.